Alright, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. I've been going over the online PDF textbook, AppInventor2, Create Your Own Android Apps by Wolberg, Abelson, Spertus, and Looney. We're just about through with Chapter 10, which is our MakeQuizTakeQuiz. And I just copied, alright, and it's, again, we're supposed to come in here. The version will not display images for each question, so go to the designer and remove all those images. Okay? Delete. Okay. Delete. Okay. Delete. Okay, and now this is going to go away because it will no longer be there. Alright? Okay. So that was the first thing. Next. Then delete the image1 component, which will remove all references to it from the blocks editor. And just so you see that, all right, anything that's in here now that's going to refer to that is going to be gone in just a minute. So we don't need the image component anymore. Highlight it. I like to just hit delete here. Boom. All right, so that drastically changes the look and feel of our app here. Because TakeQuiz will work with the database data that resides on the web, drag a TinyWebDB component onto the app. Remember, that's non-visible, so that'll come down here. Because you don't want the answer or click the next button until the questions are loaded, uncheck the enabled property of the answer button and the next button. That is no longer enabled. That is no longer enabled. Okay. Now modify the block so that the quiz given to the user is loaded. First, there are no fixed questions and answers, so remove all the question and answer text blocks from the make a list blocks within the question list and answer list. The resulting block should appear as follows. So our question list and our answer list should just be create empty list. And actually, I think we can just do this, because what we want that to be is just create empty list. And we want to do the same thing for our answer. We have our question list and for our answer list. Okay, so we've done both those. The question and answer lists are now empty. Yes, it says. You can also completely delete the picture list. This app won't deal with images. Now modify the screen1.initialize so that it calls the TinyWebDB get value twice to load our questions and load our answers. So I believe we don't want this in here anymore. And if we did, it's gone now. All right, so when the screen is initialized, we want to call tinywebdb.getValue twice. And the tags will be questions and answers, respectively. All right, so we have both of those done right now. All right, finally drag out a tinywebdb.getValue event handler. As it says, this should look similar to the one used in MakeQuiz, but here we want to show only the first question and none of the answers. So we're going to do this, and we'll talk about how it works, and then that'll be it. All right, so let's do the got value. As it says, this should look similar to the one used in MakeQuiz, but here you only want to show the first question and none of the answers. Okay? So as you can see, we'll have another if-then block with another if with an if-then block with an if-then else inside of it. Okay? All right. If is a list thing, right there. And there's. Is a list. That's the one we wanted, not this one. So if it is a list, the get value from WebDB then we've got another if statement. If the tag is equal to questions, then we want to set the global question list to the value from and we want to set the question list label text set that to select list item list. And that will be get global question list and 1. All right, else we want to set the global answer list. To get value from WebDB. Set the answer button enabled to true and the next button enabled to true. So we want to set both of these to true. All right, so what did we just do right there? As the author says, when the app starts, the screen1.initialize is automatically triggered. The app requests the question and answers from the web database. When each request arrives, the tinywebdb.gotValue event handler is triggered. The app first checks to see if indeed there is data in the list. If it finds data, it asks which request has come in using the tag from WebDB, and it places the data in the appropriate list. If a question list is being loaded, the first question is selected from the list and displayed. If the answer list is loaded, the answer button and next button are enabled so the user can begin taking the test. As it says, these are all the changes you needed for TakeQuiz. If you added some questions and answers in the MakeQuiz and you run TakeQuiz, it should now appear. Well, I've had problems with that. Okay? So the author gives you a few variations. Allow the quiz maker to specify images. Allow the quiz maker to delete questions and answers. Let the quiz maker name the quiz. Allow multiple quizzes to be created. So in this chapter, we went over dynamic data. Dynamic data is information typically input from the app user or somehow and or loaded in a database. There'll be more on this in Chapter 19. We had previously in Chapter 7 on the Android Where's My Car, we had looked at the TinyDB component. In this chapter, we looked at the TinyWebDB component, where you can retrieve database data by requesting it with tinywebdb.getValue. When the database returns the data, the tinywebdb.gotValue event is triggered. This is where we put the data in the list, okay? And as finally as it says in the very last bullet there, TinyWebDB can be shared among multiple phones and apps. More in Chapter 22. So what we will go over next will be the Broadcast Hub. Not sure exactly how that's going to work. I know what it is, but we don't have multiple phones, etc. In Chapter 12, the robot remote, I'm going to go over it, but I'm not going to do much code, I don't believe, because I don't have a robot available. Chapter 13 is the last chapter that actually has a new app in it. It's Amazon Bookstore. And then 14 through 24 is is a more authoritative explanation of the stuff that's mentioned in here. So that's it for right now.